I will remember you some wholesale Rambo.
Hello and welcome to a special episode of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roybus. With me as usual is John Denton.
Hello.
This is the first of the two Christmas shows we've done for the past couple of years running. This week it's the 10 underrated games of the year, 2 top 10 lists, and next week it's going to be the top 20 our favourite games of the year. It's always worth pointing out that the term underrated is just a nonsense word because it kind of hinges on information and feedback that you're exclusively privy to yourself. So I cited it 2 years ago. I can't remember the website though. There was a website that Black Ops 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which was about as critically revered as any blockbuster can get, was called the most underrated game of the year. And then last year IGN said that the Stanley Parable, which was just like a critical darling and it made a shitload of money, was one of the most underrated games. Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So anyway,
enjoy this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just nonsense. But it's maybe they're games that we like that someone we know didn't like. So this is our way of getting back at them. You know what I mean? I don't know. Whatever, John.
It's either that or it's games that you might not have heard of or you might have missed out on.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Yeah.
All right. My number 10 on this one is actually it's kind of a strange one because I almost don't believe it myself. But anyway, it's Watch Dogs, which got decent reviews, relatively speaking, a lot of 8s and standard AAA game reviews. And then it's one of those games where the narrative has turned that it's a pile of shit. That it's an awful game, awful ideas and stuff like that. But actually, it did lose its way towards the end. I think it was overly long, as these games often are, and you do get bogged down in the amount of content that appears in these Ubisoft open worlds. But there were large chunks of the game which I really enjoyed. The story I found reasonably captivating in a kind of techie thriller type way. It wasn't anything groundbreaking or anything like that, but it was reasonably engaging. And a lot of the ideas with the hacking were actually quite good. Being able to do entire levels, for want of a better word, without ever actually having to physically be in that space, jumping from camera to camera and then working out like a puzzle, jumping to the camera one bad guy might have on his costume or something. I don't know why he's wearing a costume, and following that around the corner and jumping. They're all laid out like that as a puzzle, but you could always just go in and stealth it, or you could go in guns blazing, and or mix of all the three. And then you ended up probably doing the same thing far too many times by the end of the game, but it certainly felt it was different. That stuff that hasn't really been done before, genuinely. And yeah, it is ultimately a superhero game. The hacking tools that you have, the power at your disposal is just basically you have a level of power and ability that is not human. But there were many hours of that game, 20+ hours, that I really did enjoy quite a lot, and the gun combat was very good as well. Reminded me of the first Getaway game, which is a game with many problems but had some cracking gun battles in it. And it's one of those games that would be a shame that it's just if everybody just decides that it's fucking awful now, because I don't really care what I think, but it was absolutely fine. It was good. It didn't live up to the hype, I guess. But then what was the hype? That was all manufactured anyway.
Yeah, and it was all based on one trailer.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really enjoyed Watch Dogs as well, and it is weird how like now it's sort of like a byword, even more so in some circles than Assassin's Creed Unity, which I just find really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that game. It was definitely not original, but actually, you know what? There were things to it, like you said. I mean, I really liked the equivalent of the radio towers as well. Those little puzzles.
That's fine.
I thought it was smarter than. It's definitely smarter than people who are at the forefront of this backlash are giving it credit for. But what can you do?
Yeah, that's probably going to be the motto of this podcast.
Indeed. Okay, all right. Well, my number 10 is a game called Yaiba, Ninja Gaiden Z.
Oh, yeah.
Or Ninja Gaiden Z. It came out on PS3 and 360. I don't think it came out on PC. In fact, I'm certain it didn't. Yaiba was not a great game by any stretch. It wasn't even an especially good game, really. It was kind of workmanlike, and it was way too repetitive in the second half. But it was reasonably entertaining and reasonably well made. People really hated the way it looked. I didn't. I thought it was pleasingly unusual, and I thought that the sort of scrappiness of it was not entirely intentional, but mostly intentional, I think. Not original. It was basically a kind of reheated blend of DMC and God of War, but there was like genuinely original stuff in it. For example, there was this really, really novel where you chain executions together that was really hard to do. And there were these lightning fast quick time events whenever you were scaling walls. They were kind of like intermittent reflex tests. They were really, really cool, I thought. But I think that one of the reasons it was so reviled is because it's so difficult. It's remorselessly hard. And a lot of the reviews that I read banged on about difficulty spikes that I just never saw. And instances of really brutal difficulty that would... I must have just cruised past. I say cruise past. That's overdoing it because it really is a hard game. But I didn't feel like it was unfair or that there were any spikes in it particularly. But that's a perpetual dilemma in game criticism because it's really hard to be completely fair to something that you really suck at. But yeah, Yaiba's not a great game. It's barely even a good game, but it didn't deserve the slating it got. And I think if it were ever to appear on like PS Plus or Games with Gold or something, it would earn a few fans who probably weren't expecting to enjoy it because it was not well received. Yeah, you never played it, did you?
No. Wasn't there a lot of backlash about some of the content as well, and the ever increasing conservatism of games criticism?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just one of those miniature tabloid circuses. I think it was just the week before launch where a screenshot of some text where the lead character made some unpleasant comments about women at a sex party. I mean, I didn't even know what to say then, and I don't even know what to say now. I tried talking to a very prominent and fairly famous British games writer about it. It was trying to sort of start this fire about how it was terrible and all this. And the week before, I'd watched that Matthew McConaughey movie, Dallas Buyers Club. And I said to this person, that the writing from that screen, it sounds like dialogue that his character would say and does say in the film because he's quite an unpleasant person. But I said, that doesn't really reflect on the film's creators, does it? And at that point, the conversation died. I'm too busy to discuss this. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know. Someone also sent me a message on Twitter saying, I'm really disappointed in you for saying that this isn't sexist. You're an idiot. Look at this. And they sent me a link to the trailer. And I was like, I don't know when people are going to stop being this stupid. I did not review a marketing campaign. I reviewed a 10-hour experience that had, it had a worldview, it had characterization, it had characters, it had a story. I mean, it was a wank story, but you know what I mean? So many people are furious about, they have so many furious opinions about a screenshot that they saw.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. Imagine living in a world where people roamed the internet screaming for books to be burned because a mate of theirs told them that there was a breast on the front cover. There's nothing to imagine. We live in that world. Yaiba isn't even worth all of this talk. It's better than okay. I quite liked it. The end.
Yeah. All right. Okay. My number 9 is, again, a slightly weird one. It's EA Sports UFC, a game that I think, if I remember correctly, reviewed myself for Eurogamer. Well, I can remember I reviewed it, but I think I gave it 6 out of 10 for Eurogamer. And we've talked about it over the podcasts over the years, but the game itself has received tremendous post-launch support. Almost, it's like a real rarity for a console game anyway, and a sports game to get this level of support over such a long amount of time. Not only has it had a bunch of new fighters added, including like 4 legendary fighters. I don't know if you saw that they've just put Rampage, Brock Lesnar, Mark Coleman, and someone else who escapes my memory for some reason. But Matt Hughes, yeah, they put those 4 guys in again for free.
Yeah, and
continually updated the game. Not just small things, balance tweaks or anything like that you normally get in a patch, like actual moves, entire positions on the ground and stuff like that. It's a very different game now than it was when it came out. It still has problems. It's still not going to be the MMA game it possibly could be, just because it still lacks in a little bit of precision, I think. It's a bit scrappy, which perhaps it should be for a fighting game. But it's it's not as technical as some other games that have managed to recreate those types of sports, even wrestling games, weirdly. It's very difficult to describe. It's like a game like Pro Evo works in that it's just a bunch of algorithms working together. But they managed to recreate the drama of football by kind of distilling it down to its most simplest parts: passing, running at the right time, hitting a through ball. That's what the original one, ISS Pro, they nailed that, and they've just expanded upon that and on and on. Whereas this is just a bit more, like I said, it's scrappy. It copies all the moves and they're all in there, but the matches don't really flow like a true MMA fight. But they've got that with the next game. It's now the way it is now, a very decent first effort. When it first came out, it was really lacking some positions, some really obvious things that should have been in there, and you can tell that they wanted that stuff in there. They just ran out of time. So it feels like now is the final game, and it's actually on EA Access now. I think as of now or next week, if you have that on Xbox One, which is well worth getting. It's only £20 a year. You get a bunch of games on there, and also these really good trials of their new games that come out, like these 6-hour-long trials. Got 6 hours of FIFA 15 free before that came out, and 6 hours of Dragon Age free. So yeah, I'd highly recommend if you've got 20 quid spare and an Xbox One, it's well worth doing.
Yeah, I really need to. I really need to dig UFC up again. Are you still playing it regularly?
Not really, no. But I haven't had much time to play it recently. But I definitely intend to jump back on it again for a few games.
Yeah, it is good, and it's only gotten better, so that's good. Well, My Number 9 is not a full game. It's a piece of DLC, although you could probably make a decent case for it essentially being a standalone game. It's Bioshock Burial at Sea Part 2. I played on 360. It's on PS3, obviously, and PC. This was kind of cursed from the beginning because it was... Well, A, it was DLC, and B, it was released almost exactly 1 year after the game it was attached to came out. So people had either moved on or they wanted to stick with their new consoles, or maybe they even weren't especially aware of it. Because DLC sometimes just isn't reviewed by some outlets. It's just kind of ignored. So there's a chance that some people weren't even aware of its existence. But Burial at Sea Part 2 was truly excellent. I loved Part 1, but this was just so much meatier and more inventive and more stylish. I still remember there's a stunning opening where it was just completely weird, as weird as anything, any moment in any Bioshock game, and it had its own systems. It was a very compelling stealth game, and action was actually fairly scarce, more so than the main game certainly, and you were forced to get creative because so much of the game was so challenging. It was how long was it? 4 or 5 hours maybe?
Yeah, maybe even 6. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of length, but it was genuinely challenging, and you had to be inventive. It was just so good, and it was so different as well. I think that some people who even hated the main game might enjoy it because it's a retooling as well as a follow-up. I loved it, and it looked terrific too. It's never too late to go back to that game. I think it will hold up very nicely for quite some time.
Yeah, for some reason I actually thought that was last year, which is why it's not on my list. But it would have been for the exact same reasons. Awesome game, awesome piece of content, and but I love, as we said many times, I love the main game. So, but I do agree that the people who hated that might like that, but they're never going to get a chance to play it, are they? So
that's it. It's exactly.
So fuck them. My number 8, a game I talked about a lot recently. It's The Evil Within, another game that a lot of people underrated. Some people didn't, but I think a lot of people, perhaps, I read, the reviews were one thing, but I read on forums and things like that, a lot of people getting a few levels in, maybe even 2 or 3 levels in and kind of giving up with it because it doesn't create the greatest first impression if you don't know that going in that there's the frame rate isn't great, and it does have those bars on the top and bottom of the screen, which I've never had a problem with. I've always kind of seen that as a stylistic thing, and maybe it's a stylistic thing that doubles up as an element to help the performance of the game. Not everything is black and white, it's not like one or the other. It's probably a bit of both. But it also makes the view very narrow and claustrophobic, so it has a kind of artistic merit. So I've never had a problem with any of that stuff. But that game does, as I've said, if you've been listening to the podcast recently, it really does blossom into something quite special. could have probably done with another editing round, I think. I'd like to have seen maybe one or two of the chapters towards the end dropped in a couple of sections within those chapters to really tighten it up. But at its best, it's, to me, one of the best single-player games of that style that I've played in years and years and years. And I remember when there was a time where almost every game that I played was kind of like this. And I don't mean that it was scary, but it was just... you'd be playing a kind of third-person, almost story-driven action game, and there'd be new systems in every single game that you played, and they were based around those new systems or new ideas, or kind of something interesting or unusual in the way that it designed its sets or its levels. The era of this, the PS2 era, is basically what I'm talking about. You know, Shadow of Memories, Silent Hill, all the way up to finishing with God Hand at the end of that. And in that console's time in the limelight, and this just felt like a real nice throwback to that era. And games like this, I said it before, games like this just don't get made anymore. And it's if you're you know, of a certain age, and that was the era where you really got into games. I mean, that era for me was sort of young adulthood. Then you got to really play Evil Within, especially as you seem to be able to pick it up on the cheap these days already.
Yeah, I've seen that some places were charging like 20 quid or so.
I think I've seen it for 15 already.
Wow. That's a shame, but also it's worth picking up. I mean, if that's an incentive.
Yeah, it has apparently done well, though, like we said last week. It's done quite well, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, indeed. No, I did enjoy that game, and I thought it got better, even if I don't know if anyone else thinks that. I thought it peaked around sort of chapter 10,
that sort of time, and then dipped and then pulled it back right towards the end. But great stuff, really.
Yeah, I did enjoy it very much. Okay, my number 8 is a game called Blue Estate.
This almost
PS4.
made it onto my list.
Oh, you did get around to playing it?
Yeah.
Did you play it back when it came out?
Yeah. I played the first couple of chapters.
I'm sure I knew that.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, sorry.
Blue Estate is a really good light gun game, really, really snappy and just really, really well made. It reminded me only of some of the best light gun games I've ever played. The original House of the Deads, even Ghost Squad. I mean, it's not up to that standard, but it's not too far off either. Only expressly in terms of the way it works as a shooter, because the game's biggest problem is that it's possibly the least funny comedy ever made. It just keeps cracking diabolical jokes the whole way through and just being really, really obnoxious, and almost everything about Blue Estate that isn't the gameplay is really off-putting. And every female in the game's an airheaded stripper, and the Italian Americans are, oh, gee whiz, boss, I was eating and the Asian guy is running at you, screaming with machetes. It's just the most tiresome stereotypes in history, and like way too many video games these days. I find it impossible not to compare it to something written by a right twat of an 8-year-old child. It's so juvenile, and I just really wish it wasn't. So in a way, it's a horrible heap of shit, but it's such a tight shooter, and it's appealing in the same way that all great light gun games are. Although, as I said, it's not up to it's not Ghost Squad.
Yeah.
And again, there are rewarding systems in it. There's a cool scoring system. There's these bits where you're shooting bombs to arm and disarm them, which are really neat. It is a very fine game, but it just stinks. I just wish all the other crap wasn't in it, really.
Yeah, I did enjoy what I played, but that was enough for me. But it's probably sort of hovering in the 12, 13 mark on my list for stuff this year. All right, nice. My number 7 then, 7, is actually Sniper Elite 3 on Xbox One. I played it on. Single player, I thought was okay. Enjoyed the levels that I played to a degree. But I kind of had my fill of that gameplay in the second one. But I weirdly really enjoyed the multiplayer. I know you had problems with it, but I was asked to write a review on it, and ended up in these games where there were only 2 or 3 people. There'd be like 2 on 3 or 1 on 2 or 2 on 2, and it was supposed to be up to 6 on 6. And I really think the game is much better when it's played in those tiny numbers. Just playing the game mode where There's one game mode where you literally can't sneak up on each other because there's a barrier in the way, and there's another one where you win. The best game mode, I think, is where you win by its cumulative distance of your kills as opposed to how many kills you've got. So yes, you can run up and shoot them in the back, but you won't really get any points for it. You have to snipe them. And got into this quite long series of games with a random, where we were both on voice comms, acting as sniper and spotter for each other and taking out. There were only 2 of us, and there were 3 on the other team. But you can mark people in that game like you can in the Battlefield or many other things that you can do in these days. And it was just really, really exciting. We were dominating this team, just the 2 of us, just using basic flanking marking tactics. And just you could see how annoyed they were getting because they're flashing around looking for us. And then they'd spot one of us, and before they had a chance to do anything, we just pop their heads. And it has that glorious headshot thing that Sniper Elite's famous for, and that translates over to the multiplayer. Despite the terrible matchmaking, which made no sense whatsoever, where it would actually, you'd say you wanted a game and then it would just come back to you later when it decided it found one and invite you to it as if, it was doing you a favour, even though you just asked. I mean, it's just absolutely insane.
Often it would invite you and there'd be no one in the match apart from you.
Just nuts. Yeah. I don't know what that was all about. But, it's based purely on that probably 3 hours that I spent that evening for the purpose of the review, just doing that. Maybe if I'd played it another night, maybe if I hadn't been with that guy, none of that stuff would have happened. I wouldn't have had fun. But it kind of showed that the capability was there in that game to do that. But it might have just been a one-off. But I would be lying if I didn't enjoy it, because I did.
Yeah, I really didn't enjoy the campaign, but I tried a lot to try and play multiplayer, and I ended up having a few games, but like you, it was like 1s and 2s, and it didn't really work. There needed to be so many variables in place for that to work, and I just never had a decent teammate, or there was too many. It never worked for me. I believe they fixed the matchmaking, but I was gone by that point.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Okay. My number 7 is a game called Max: The Curse of Brotherhood on Xbox One.
This would probably be my 11.
Yeah, it actually came out last year on Xbox One, so this is cheating a little bit, but it only came out on Xbox 360 in the spring, and it was ignored initially anyway, so, everyone only played it when it got given away for nothing earlier this year, so... but yeah, this really took me by surprise, mainly because... It felt like a tentpole release. It was of such a high and consistent quality that I thought it was a bit weird that Microsoft never used it to sell Xbox Ones to younger gamers, because it really is that good. If you didn't get it for free or you only have an Xbox 360, it's definitely worth paying money for. It's definitely... it looks and feels really expensive, and it's enjoyable the whole way through. There are a couple of design foibles now and again, but overall it's pretty much superb. Microsoft liked the work of the developers so much. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're Danish. Are they called Press Play? I think the studio's called Press Play. But they like them so much that they bought the studio, and I can totally relate to that, because the Curse of Brotherhood is just ridiculously short-footed and really engaging. It's just an excellent game, really. Try and play it. Yeah,
well, I did. I never finished it, but I got a fair way through it. And just enjoyed all of it, but kind of forgot to go back to it. It came to the point where it was the busy time, so that got put in the back foot. But I always do mean to go back to it. I think I've had to delete it off my Xbox One because it has a 1 kilobyte hard drive. But I'd like to go back to it one day. You still got your save saved and all that stuff. So, my number 6 then is WWE Supercard on Android.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really an underrated game, because I think everybody who's played this game has kind of raved about it. It's one of those short-lived addictions that helps if you're a fan or even a previous or lapsed fan of wrestling. But it helps if you know the guys are a bit, but it doesn't matter to the gameplay. But what an addictive little thing. It's more a case of just bigging it up once more, because it's it's not going to end up in the top games of the year list or anything like that. But a very, very simple, kind of almost top trumps-ian card battler. It's certainly no Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. It's a very simple game where you have your little deck of wrestlers, and you have best of 3 matches against. It says that there are other people, but it sort of purports to be an online game, but you're actually playing against the computer. but they're grabbing other people's decks from all the other people all the other people out there. I think they may not even be doing that. It may all just be a lie. It is wrestling after all. But it's addictive. It's quite easy to win, especially if you get your deck powered up. So you just go on this run of smashing through the competition, and every time you win, you get to pick 2 random cards from a big selection. And at first, it starts giving you some quite good wrestlers. As time goes on, it starts stitching you up and just giving you power-ups for a different mode. That's the free-to-play model. It gets a bit annoying, but I mean, I played the game for quite a few hours without ever having to pay a penny, so I can't really complain about that stuff too much. And it's not really a game that it would be better for paying 69p and having everything either, I don't think. It's just, it kind of works as a free game. It feels like something that should be of that model, if that makes sense. And there's not many games I'd say that about. But yeah, I mean, it's just good fun. I like the way that you power up your cards by just feeding the cards that are in your deck just shit wrestlers. So like, you just get a bunch of shit wrestlers and just feed them to your good card, and they just basically get eaten. It's what a good game. It's the best WWE game this year, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's still on my iPad. I haven't even had time to play it yet, but
it's
I will.
Dumb shit. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It is dumb shit, but then again, so is wrestling. So
it's wrestling, exactly. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll definitely play that. Probably over Christmas, maybe. I'll talk about it.
It'll probably be like a one-day obsession, and then you'll just forget about it forever.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me, though. Well, my number 6 is a game called CounterSpy, which I played on the PS4. It was also on PS3 and Vita.
Oh yeah, I was meant to play that.
Yeah, it kind of came and went. The critical response was kind of lukewarm, and it reminded me, even to look at it, it reminded me of that Arkham Origins Blackgate Vita game, the Batman spin-off, that didn't exactly set the world alight. So I'm sure most people took one look at it and just thought, bollocks. But it was much better than that. And actually, I think it might be a really perfect Vita game because of how it's structured. The missions are often sort of very brief. They're not iOS brief. They're not like... They're kind of like 5-10 minutes rather than 20-plus minute chunks. So it just seems ideal for gaming on the Vita. But it's a stealth platformer with really responsive gunplay. I'd actually love to see the team make just a shooter or reskin this so that there's just shoot. Because if the game has one problem, it's that I occasionally threw stealth out the window just because of how much I enjoyed shooting things. I like the way you balance these DEFCON meters and how they affect the order that you play the levels. Because if you keep getting discovered while you're spying for one of the military superpowers, the DEFCON meter would affect the difficulty of one of the 2 sets of levels. So one way of lowering it would to get it back down, you'd have to tackle a level by intimidating guards into surrendering, then the DEFCON meter would go down. And then replaying levels never got old because they were all randomly generated anyway. So I just thought that was a really smart idea. It's an incredibly short game, but I couldn't have cared less. As I said, the levels are randomly generated, so there were difficulty settings to play with. So there was, I'm sure it was criticised. I'm sure I read a negative review where they're like, it's too short, but it's essentially endless, so shut your mouth. But yeah, I really like it. CounterSpy is a really, really fine little game. I liked it a lot.
Maybe I'll get round to that one day. Maybe.
But it's 3 hours long, and if you want more from it, it's there. You know what I mean? I think I really like that structure. It's perfect. It's no filler, and then if you want to sort of grind it, you can.
A good lesson for life.
Yeah.
My number 5, and they're probably the only game this year where I've been baffled by everyone else's response. This tends to happen every now and again, and I'm sure it happens with everybody. Some people just get up in arms about it and think everyone else is wrong and get angry about it forever. I don't. I just think, okay, well, I just must see everything differently to these people at this particular time. But maybe that's just because I'm a bit old. But this game is Yoshi's New Island on 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
Yoshi or Yoshi?
Yeah.
Yoshi.
I always said Yoshi, but now everyone says Yosh. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it says Yoshi on Smash Brothers. Anyway, I've really enjoyed this game from the fucking maniacal title music.
Oh, I love that music.
It's just utterly insane and seems to be carried over to Yoshi's Woolly World, which is good. And is actually very similar to the music on the Yoshi's Woolly World stage on Smash Brothers. So more of that, please. Just the discordant, weird accordions and kazoos. just, I mean, one of the greatest tunes ever. I can't remember how it goes, but just unbelievable noise.
I'll put it at the end of the podcast because I love that bit of music.
I just really like this game. But then I read everybody else's reviews and opinions, and they're like, "Oh, this is nowhere near as good as the old ones." To me, the greatest platformer, 2D platformer of all time, is easily Super Mario World. I've played the other Yoshi games, and they don't touch it for me, and they're not even close. This one just felt like those ones, to be fair. Angling your little eggs to fire at things. It's super easy, but I didn't mind that because it seemed to be based around finding secrets in the world. And also, and it may just be the dad in me, but I see these games, they're not necessarily for 32-year-old kind of grizzled 10-year veteran games journalists. They're for kids, aren't they? It's just a little green dinosaur fucking about with a load of flowers and eggs. It's but I don't mean that only for kids, but it's kind of naive to think that they're for adults. So I had no problem with how easy it was because it was enjoyable throughout. Some good ideas in there, some cool stuff where like a fake Yoshi would appear and they move at the same time. Works similar to the Swapper, nowhere near as sophisticated. But just a charming little game. I just really, there was not a moment where I wasn't enjoying myself. There are better platform games out this year. One of them is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on Wii U, which is a magnificent game. This isn't that, but I was baffled when it was getting 4s and stuff. I think I gave it an 8 for Games TM. I just thought it was really good. But okay, fine. I couldn't understand it. Like people were saying, "Oh, but this is shit. It's too easy. It's boring." I mean, I can't disagree with that if that's what they think, but just baffled.
Yeah, I never played that one, but I mean, if ever a game, it's on my mental checklist.
Yeah.
I just for some reason never find time to get my 3DS out recently.
I know what you mean. Mine's just sat in my drawer basically since that. That was the last thing I was asked to review for it, and yeah, it's still there in my drawer.
Well, I'd like to have a go on that at some point because just to see where
the music is that good throughout the whole game as well. It's not just the title music. Every level has.
Whenever I've gone onto YouTube and looked for that theme, I see that there's like 20 tracks from like not officially an album, but every stage has got a track. I'm just like, I could just sit here and listen to it all day.
Like when you go underground, it sounds like someone's sort of squeezing on slightly broken dog toys.
I can't wait to. Okay, I'm just going to go and listen to that whole soundtrack right now. After this, anyway. Okay, my number 5 is a game called Skyforce 2014 on iOS. I don't even have any idea if this is underrated. The iOS, Android, mobile gaming world is something that I basically have nothing to do with in terms of the critical side of things anyway. So this could be on everyone's Game of the Year list for all I know. And again, talking about how things are underrated is just I don't know. This is a stupid idea. The word itself just does my nut because I don't even know if this is underrated. Why is it on this list? But all I know is that I didn't know about this until I was told about it by my girlfriend, and nobody I know knows anything about it. And I'm pretty sure that if you're listening to this, you probably don't know anything about it either, or maybe you do. I don't even know. This is a sequel to a very primitive, decade-old phone game. The game is kind of like a futuristic sequel to 1942. And actually, there was a very good 1942 pastiche on XSplit called Tiger Shark Shooter, Tiger Shark Soldier, or something. But so that's kind of interesting, I suppose, that there were two very similar games like that. But in addition to looking phenomenally good, and I remember when I spoke about it initially, I likened it to watching little objects moving underneath a sheet of glass.
I remember the game. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. It's so vivid and crisp visually. But it also has a really neat RPG-style structure that seems, at first, custom-built to fleece you for money, because this is a free game. And at first I was kind of worried because there were things that I needed that I couldn't get because I needed to get to a certain level. It's, all the usual bullshit. But that's actually not the case because you basically buy the game outright in the guise of currency. It's an odd decision, but welcome, obviously, because it's a pretty much perfect old-school top-down shmup. And on iPad, it's a must. A really substantial and... Yeah, I mean, this is a terrifically entertaining game, and if you have an iOS device, it's free, so go.
I don't, but I would, because it does sound...
I'm sure it's almost certainly on Android as well.
Right. What's it called again?
Skyforce 20...
It's the name
Skyforce...
is out of my head straight away.
Yeah, Skyforce 2014.
Skyforce 2014. Okay.
Play it. It's good.
All right, yeah. No, the painting or glass or whatever sounds good. My number 4, another game with Force in the title, Super Time Force on Xbox One, a game that came and went in the first place after receiving quite a lot of kind of indie cred hype. I remember it appearing around the same sort of time as Guacamelee and a few other things on the the pre-release indie grapevine, and a lot of people were raving about how exciting it looked. And then it came out and it's this like fantastically innovative, almost ingenious idea. It plays like nothing else. It looks like a side-on shooter, but it's actually a game about dying and then multiplying up all your little dudes, and then it's actually incredibly difficult to explain. I haven't played it for a little while as well. You have one little 2D side-on character, and then every time you die, you can launch in another one. But the original guy will go about their business as well. So at first, it just seems like a good idea that you start stacking up guys to do your bidding and kill everything quicker. But later, it becomes clear that you kind of need to solve combat-based puzzles with them as well. So you'll need like a rocket guy down below, and then you can set a couple of those guys going, and then move your guys up to the top. Yeah, I mean, quite taxing in some ways, especially as you're trying to do everything super fast to get through to the end of the level in a really short amount of time. Great characterization as well. Loads of cool little characters. The levels are really funny. And then it came out on gold as well, and I still didn't hear anyone talking about it. So it just seemed like should have been one of the indie hits of the year. Maybe it was. I don't know what the sales figures are. Maybe it's just my echo chamber wasn't echoing about this particular game, but I couldn't really see anybody talking about it. But underrated, overlooked. But if you did manage to download it on your Xbox One during gold, you must play it. I still need to finish it, which is criminal that I haven't. I've got it pinned on my Xbox One because I always mean to go back to it, but I never find the time. But just a great game. But I see it's coming out on Vita, a new version of it. They just announced coming out on PlayStation Vita, which would be that's a perfect fit for that game, I think. That console.
Yeah. I mean, Super Time Force is actually my number 2.
Okay.
But I think the biggest problem that it faced was that it did launch on the wrong console. I don't think that's really unfair to say, because Sony have turned the PS4 into a place where the best indie games live.
Yeah.
And coupled with the fact that the Xbox One store makes finding things a colossal pain in the neck. Until recently, it has to be said, they've streamlined it a little bit now, but when this came out, you weren't told that it was out, and it wasn't that easy to find.
Yeah, very true.
So it just felt lost from the get-go, and it is excellent and ingenious. And most importantly, crucially, I think it's really easy to understand. Bits of it are difficult, but because it's more of an action game than a puzzle game, I think. I remember seeing gameplay footage and thinking that looked like a potentially frustrating cerebral puzzler, but it's not that at all. It's very, very clever, but it's
fucking sorry.
Is that your ringtone?
No, my fucking phone just I just pressed the button to look at to see the name of the game when it's coming out on Vita, and it brought up my Facebook and it played a video automatically.
When did we turn into one of those podcasts where we just on our phones while we're talking to each other?
I'm not on my phone. I was checking to see the name of the Vita version. So technically I am on my phone, but I'm not...
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I'm not just sitting there on my phone. I was just trying to help the podcast out. And I still didn't even get to the answer that I wanted. Sometimes I do get a bit of... If you're talking about an iOS game, I'll quickly look at it, or a phone game, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that game. But I'm not ignoring you.
All right. Whatever. I can't remember what I was saying. Super Time Force. I thought it looked really confusing. It's not. It's very clever. And it's also accessible, easy to understand. So I think that anybody who's put off by what it looked like should rethink it. It's also the perfect length. There's no filler in it. It's sort of like, I don't know. It's kind of like Lemmings crossed with Contra, but
that kind of. Did you do the whole thing then?
Oh yeah, I finished it.
Oh, nice one.
It's another indie game that just knows when to quit.
Yeah. Well, that team is they're really good, aren't they? They're making that Below game as well, which looks fantastic for Xbox One.
That's right.
Yeah, Cappy.
Yeah.
Good, really good game, really solid stuff.
Yeah, I was buzzing the whole time I was playing it, and I may play it again one day. But hopefully it generates a lot of noise when it turns up on Sony consoles.
Yeah, it does seem like the fit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, it deserves the fuss as well. What was that? So your number 4?
It was my number 4. Yeah.
Okay, my number 4 is Rambo, the video game. I played it on 360. It's also on PS4. You played it on PC, didn't you?
Yeah, I did play on PC. Yeah, a bit of it. Anyway.
So it's on PC as well. I don't have a massive amount to say about Rambo, the video game. It is totally emblematic of my soft spot for really shite action games, because there's so much wrong with it, but the problems that I had with the game have kind of evaporated in my mind as the year has gone on, and I've recently found myself kind of contemplating going through it again. Like Blue Estate, it's a light gun game, but unlike Blue Estate, it uses thumbsticks, and it would definitely be twice the game if it was on Wii. If this game came out on the Wii, because in many ways that's where this belongs, because as well as being something that motion controls, would really benefit, it's a dicey as hell movie tie-in rail shooter, and that just seems like a perfect Wii game.
Yeah.
But if it came out on the Wii and people, were able to play it on their Wii U's, currently, I mean, this would definitely guaranteed have quite a substantial cult following. It's aimed at fans of the Rambo movies. And I've just become it's a game that I've thought about quite a bit over the year, and I'm just like, I've become increasingly charmed by those terrible cutscenes, and they are terrible cutscenes. They are so ropey and ropey and dopey. That's what they are. But if you remember those movies, it's nice. It's like taking a little tour of your childhood, but the wheels are coming off the. I tell you what it's like. It's like going into Total Recall and going to Recall and saying, "Can I give me some memories of Rambo?" And they're like, "Oh, it's, the price is too much." So you just go and find some schmuck on the streets. "Oh, I remember you, Rambo. I remember you, Rambo." So he gives you some Rambo memories, and then you're like, I don't remember John Rambo having a face like an arse cheek with a bandana. It's just it's just run through a really shit blender, and it's. But aside from all of that, obviously not everyone's going to find that crap as endearing as I did. But it's a thoroughly decent shooter, 70% of the way. The last few levels should be buried in a desert. And I really enjoyed the score attack nature of it. Overall, I liked it, but there's some horrible shit in it, and I don't know. If you have any affection for Rambo, I wouldn't pass it up. You can probably pick it up for like 5p now. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, what I played, I was in and out quite quickly, to be honest. It wasn't something but I have no affection for Rambo. I hadn't seen a Rambo film until I met you, so I don't have that kind of nostalgia factor.
When they reenact the powerful scene when he gets cut up in the Vietnam concentration camp, it doesn't quite have the same weight as it does in the film. With that big pig head. It's such a weird looking game. I don't know who animated that, but well done, I guess.
Good old Rams. Yeah. All right, my number 3 then is Driveclub on PlayStation 4. A game that got a mauling. Many good reasons, and should have got a mauling because it didn't work for a long time, and it kind of works now. Pretty much works. It's just still a pathetic thing to say for a game that came out 2 months ago, whatever it was. But it got a mauling for just not being a very good driving game, and I always thought that was quite unfair. It was. It suffered for coming out the same sort of time as Forza Horizon, which offered this big open world and very kind of sumptuous game to get lost in. And a very, very good game in its own right. And this was much more of a throwback. It's sort of all these single events, with the idea being you're constantly challenging other people and being challenged the whole time. But I never really got to experience that side of the game. But the events themselves, they're all really short. So you can kind of get into that mind frame of trying to do them as tightly as possible, shaving off milliseconds on a corner, or pushing your car to the absolute limit. That was the good thing about Driveclub. You really felt like you were pushing these cars, a bunch of like proper cars that look very, very nice, but you felt like you're really constantly pushing them to the absolute limit. And one little mistake and you're going to crash. It's not Gran Turismo handling, but you certainly need to be braking at the right time. It didn't have a racing line, so you're reliant on both your skill as a driver, but also a really elegant feature with the little flags going around the corner would be a different colour depending on how severe the corner was. So you could kind of plan for it, but it was never as prescripted as having one of those racing lines on, knowing exactly when to brake, exactly when to accelerate out the corner. So it was satisfying in that respect, and the game looks outstanding. It really does, in its finest moments, and now with the weather patch in there as well, which is breathtaking at times. It looks a cut above anything else, benefiting from the fact that it's not in an open world, of course, but at times a startling-looking game, and not a classic by any means, but I enjoyed its kind of throwback nature. It's a confused game. I said at the time when I first talked about it, I think it's kind of pitched at a strange audience, and that audience happens to be me, who's someone that doesn't know anything about real cars, so doesn't really care if it handles like it should do or any of that sort of stuff, but doesn't necessarily just want to play arcade racing games either, and kind of enjoys that throwback 2000s style of repeating events and trying to beat scores and stuff like that. So, I mean, how many people are out there like that? It's like me. But very, very harshly criticised game in many ways, but not in other ways. Fully deserved. You can't release broken shit. Everyone keeps doing it. But this was completely unacceptable in that respect.
Yeah, I do wonder if it can sort of recover.
Well, apparently it sold more than Forza Horizon. So, I mean,
did it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of PlayStation 4s out there. So, yeah, whether or not it could have sold 3 or 4 times as many, I don't know. But yeah, apparently, it's certainly got over 1 million sales and things like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, I was looking at those figures today, in fact, for something else, and yeah, it sold that quite comfortably, in fact.
That's kind of. I mean, I haven't played Driveclub, so I don't know. But I mean, that's just.
Forza Horizon's a better game, but.
Yeah.
Then again, there are a lot more PS4s out there.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, I mean, I do wonder if it can sort of shake off the stigma.
I mean, if it had been completely functional day one and got a bit of buzz behind it, perhaps, and the weather patch had been in there day one, I think they needed that day one. They should have just fucking released it in the end of November. I mean, I know they needed something out for October, but if it doesn't work, then I think you lose the advantage of a few weeks on the competition. But maybe not, because it's sold more. Who fucking knows anymore? The whole industry is an absolute mess.
Yeah, it is. Did you hear about the patch for Assassin's Creed Unity that was like a quarter of the game or something? It was like 8 gig or something.
Yeah, the Xbox One version's 40 gig.
Yeah. What, of the full game?
Sorry?
Of the full game, right?
Of the full game. What?
The Xbox One version of what?
The Xbox One version of that patch was 40 gigs.
What? The single...
Yeah, it was like really big on PS4, and then the Xbox One version was 40 gigs. I'm sure I read that. If that's wrong, I apologise. I'm 95% sure that's correct.
Jesus.
So it's basically reinstalling the game.
And who's got any room? I mean, I've deleted almost everything I have because the last few months have just been 50 gig games left and right, and like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But all right. Yeah, Driveclub. I'll play it at some point because I like the fact that it seems to work now.
And Assassin's Creed Unity is in neither of our lists for underrated game of the year.
And it won't make an appearance next week, I dare say. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 3 underratedness game is Disney's Fantasia on Xbox One.
Fuck! That was supposed to be in my list, and I'll tell everyone now, my list got erased just before the show. I thought I'd nailed it and got everything back in there, but that was actually supposed to be in my list. Damn it.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's also on 360, but I don't know how that works because the lesser connects is probably a problem. But yeah, Disney's Fantasia is a really baffling project. It has almost nothing to do with the animated movie Fantasia from the 1940s. It doesn't have anything to do with other Disney characters and movies and songs. It's a project that was laser targeted at people who probably ended up being quite miffed that they weren't getting what they were told they were getting, because it has nothing to do with Disney, nothing to do with Fantasia. It's a new harmonics game with some very twee set dressing. I could have done without the twee set dressing, obviously, but regardless, this is a purebred harmonics game, and it's really brilliant. It utilises Connect as about as well as it has ever been used, and The remix elements of the gameplay are really unique and really enjoyable, and the soundtrack's good. It's essentially a dance game that you can play sitting down if you want, and it works about as well as any kind of motion control game of this kind possibly could. And it is actually exciting. As in all harmonics games, you're messing around with music, and there's nothing quite like it. A really excellent game. I mean, come 2015, you'll probably be able to buy it again for about 5p, which is a bit of a tragedy. But snap it up when that situation. If you, I mean, I don't want to vouch for the 360 version because I don't know, but I'd just say it's too good, really. I mean, if the 360 version, I haven't checked reviews or anything, but if it's functional, and that's your only way to try it, I'd recommend it. If you're the kind of person that digs harmonics games, especially because it's just. They don't make shit games yet.
No, they don't. I really, really enjoy that game. It does things with the remixes where you can basically build your own versions of these classic tunes, and they've broken down into the tracks and then given you remixed versions of each of those tracks. So, for example, there's I think it's which police song is it? Oh, it's disappeared from my head.
I can't remember.
Yeah, brilliant. We're doing a good job here. But they've kind of done this really dramatic version of it, like orchestral version that you can switch between, and then you can bring in some of the original and some of that version at the same time, and it's just really special, very special. They find ways to innovate with music that I could have never even thought of, and they're so far ahead of everybody else in that field that they've almost broken the genre and turned themselves into a small niche genre by being too good. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was supposed to be on my list.
But I mean, it's a heck of a game. I like it a lot. Going to play it a lot over Christmas, I dare say.
Yes, I will too. All right, my number 2 is a game not underrated because I'm pretty sure I was the only person to review it. I reviewed it for Eurogamer and gave it an 8. But it's a game called 10 Second Ninja, and it's on this list because I'm pretty sure nobody downloaded it or played it. But another real indie gem made by one or two guys, Game Design Dan, I think his name is on Twitter. And it's a game where you basically have to use this little ninja to kill a room full of robots, a screen full of robots, I should say, in under 10 seconds. But that will get you 1 star. But what you really want to be doing is getting 3 stars. And to do that, you have to work out how to eliminate these ninjas using your 3 shurikens and a double jump and a sword slash in an absurdly quick time that's even a nanosecond or a slightly misjudged pixel will stitch you up and you won't be able to do it. So it also has a completely instant restart. So you just get into this loop of trying to maximize your dexterity to be able to do these things, and also trying to work out the level to make sure you're doing it correctly, because for the most part there's only one way of getting those 3 stars. You are like choosing whether you jump left or right at the beginning of a level. It's all 2D side-on stuff. Will be the difference between 2 or 3 stars. Even though you might be very, very close to the score to get 3 stars, you realise you actually need to do it a completely different way. Really, really clever idea. Very, very well executed. The only problem with it I had, and I'm not one to get upset or offended, and it did neither to me. It just seemed really weird. Is that the whole thing was all the robots have like swastikas on, and it's like this Robo Hitler's the main bad guy, and that's just like I don't know. And it's like his cartoon, ha ha ha, Hitler. And it's like. I mean, your game is like, it's just a silly little indie game, and it's like, all right. I mean, I don't find it offensive, but it's like maybe it's a little bit sensitive, isn't it? Just to be like, ha ha, the Holocaust. I mean, it's like, it doesn't bother me, but it's just it doesn't serve no purpose. But apart from that, real cracker.
Yeah, in a game that's so clear, I mean, children could play that game and understand it and enjoy it. Yeah, it's very incongruous the inclusion of that stuff.
Laser Hitler, ha ha. It's just weird.
I mean, I played that game a little bit, and at the time I was just really disillusioned with really hard games, so I couldn't really invest any time in, and it's not practical. I can't play games on my Mac and be comfortable at the same time, really. So it just was I couldn't really sit down and enjoy it. Yeah. But it is surely. It would fit perfectly on PS4.
Yeah, completely. I'd like to see it.
Is that happening?
I have heard nothing. I've heard nothing.
Oh. I know nothing. All right. Well, my number 2 we've done is Super Time Force. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. So my number 1 then, as per sort of the request of Dave Turner, in fact, is actually Destiny. And I wasn't going to do this because it is obviously going to appear next week at some point in my list. But then I kind of thought, well, this is the underrated games of the year. And it's a real curious case, this one. I know you've kind of gone off it, like off milk these days, but I've never known a game to get such a kicking from so many people and so many people moan about, and they put in so many hours. I mean, I checked about 40 hours into this game, which for me is a fuckload, but compared to what some people have put in, like our friend Zeno, who you checked in and put in nearly 500 hours, whether or not that's to do with the Xbox One going into standby mode or not, I'm not too sure, but he's still played.
No, it's that he has played that much.
I mean, and obviously he's not moaned about the game, but many people have moaned about the game, moaned about the story, moaned about this, moaned about all the things Bungie have done wrong, and then have racked up over 100 hours on it, and it's just like that's a long time. That's a fucking long time. There are I could count on one hand the amount of games I've put that many hours into over my life. And yeah, like I say, I feel like I've played Destiny to death, and I've done about 40 hours. I'll probably go into what I really, really like about the game next week, because, like I said, it is going to appear in my list for top games of the year next week. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just kind of really confused by this whole thing. I can understand that people thought it was going to be one thing and it ended up being something else, that they're disappointed in it. But there comes a time, and if some people then ditched it because of that, then absolutely. But there are many people that that you're reading that are moaning about this game and playing it at the same time, and it's a really curious way to live your life, to sit there being angry and hating something and spending hours and hours and hours doing it. It's like people who watch TV shows that they hate because it's like, I fucking hate EastEnders, and you watched it for 25 years. It's a way of living that I can't comprehend. But ultimately, I think it's Destiny. I mean, it does so much right. I don't get it. I don't get that way of thinking. I don't get it. If you wanted the grand narrative experience full of set pieces and things like that previous Bungie games have given you, not that the narratives are strong in those games at all, but and it doesn't deliver in some of the grandiose elements that the Halo games do. So fine, I totally understand that point of view and being disappointed by it, and I imagine if some people went into it wanting just a single player experience, because that's what they had with older Bungie games that didn't deliver, I can understand that too. But what a way to live your life, to spend 100 hours on something you don't like. I mean, what else do you do? What else do you do with your life?
Yeah. Destiny is an unusual case, and to assess the time that the vast majority, 95% of the time I spent with it, the game is nothing but excellent, but I think partially my response to it is basically because I didn't really know what an MMO was, and I've kind of learned from Destiny what an MMO actually is, and it's I know it's not for me, or at least it's not for me once it gets into the really intense later parts of the grind, because then I just become disillusioned with it. But there's a possibility that maybe I need an ending, maybe I need to be able to, I don't know. A friend of mine who's played it almost as much as Zeno stopped playing it, and he said once you've left it for a week, you realise what you're doing is grinding for almost nothing, and some might say that's just what the genre is. So I wasn't expecting that. When I got to that point, I just I thought there are so many other games I'd rather, I want to play everything. So coming back to this, although it is nice for like a Sunday afternoon, buzz around, do a couple of bounties and whatnot, it's really nice, but the intensity, my intense love for it has sort of faded a little bit, but I don't hate the game. I liked the game when it was still not just this insane grind where you can't even gauge how you're progressing or what you need, and it's like, I don't know. But the game, I'll never be one of those people that slates the game, because the game surely could not have held anyone's interest for as many hours as it has if it was rubbish. That I don't understand.
That I'll never understand. And I think it's a wise move that if you're not enjoying that grind, then it's definitely time to walk away. I always make sure that whatever I'm doing, I try and play it. I try and play it for fun. So if I catch myself, and I have done this, if I catch myself doing something that I'm not enjoying, which hasn't really happened yet, for the purposes of grinding or trying to getting a level up or being annoyed that I didn't get a drop or something like that, that's the wrong way. I tell myself that's the wrong way to play it. I'll go and have a couple of games on multiplayer just for the fun of playing multiplayer, like I would do in any multiplayer game that I enjoy. And I do really have really got into the multiplayer side of the game, the competitive side, that is. I think, but that's how I justify myself. But then again, I haven't really played that much compared to some of these people. I mean, I've certainly not put. I'm still sub 50 hours. So, and there's still this huge chunk of content, the raid, that I've never played, and now a second one on the DLC, which I have as well. So there's two huge things that I'm really interested in playing, but I still haven't played. So I think that's what's keeping me going. Knowing that I really want to see that. When I get through those, who knows? Would I still want to keep playing? I don't know. I can't see it ending for me yet, but I can possibly tell. But I definitely want to experience that just to, but before I stop, because it would be a shame not to.
Yeah. I will definitely play the raid before I stop playing altogether, because I'm a high enough rank. But yeah, it's such a strange case. I mean, I'm just I still enjoy playing the game, but I always just think, because we've seen the same things over and over again, that I just think, why don't we play Battlefield? At least then, that's never the same, and it's often absolutely hilarious. But I still enjoyed it. I don't know. It's completely my inexperience with the genre. It's just making me. I don't even know how to sort of really assess how I feel about it, because I think it's a great game, but I don't know why the grind is so intense, and it's just so brutal about not giving you anything and whatnot, and blah 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 blah. And it just, I don't know. It's a great game, is it?
It is a great
game. Right. I think I agree with you.
The amount of fun I've had with it would suggest that it's a great game. That's all I know.
Exactly. Of course it is. Same here. I want to put it to bed and I can't, because there's still that compulsion there. But it's only the compulsion. I don't even.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. Yeah.
I think it's just I'm programmed to be able to sort of, when I leave the game alone, I'm done. I'm like, see you later. But those compulsions are still there, so I'm just like, I'll just have another. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a really, really fucking weird situation, but whatever.
Right.
All right. Well, my number one is a game called Delta on the Xbox 360. This is only on my list because it's an XSplit game, and aside from the people making XSplit games, there aren't that many people playing XSplit games, which can be a terrible shame on some occasions, and this is definitely one of them. Delta did get some attention. You did play it in the end.
I did play it. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. The most prominent thing I read was Christian Donnan wrote a great article on Eurogamer. It was not a game that was ignored completely, but whenever I recommend an XSplit game, they just fall on deaf ears. I feel like I'd have to frog march most people to my house to get them to play something like Delta. So my hope is that it's ported somewhere else soon, and that might be happening, fingers crossed. So hopefully other people get a chance to play it. But if you have an Xbox 360 in your home, my advice is just download it immediately. It's honestly outstanding. It's a cross between a music game and an endless runner, basically. It's impossibly fast, but technically, it's basically flawless. It just oozes quality. It feels finished and polished, and I adored it, and I was hopelessly addicted to it. It's £2 still, I think. I incorrectly said when it came out that it was 69p, but that was not correct. It's £2. I think it may have been a promotional, briefly 69p. But anyway, whatever. It's £2, and it is worth every single penny and then some. It is a totally bracing experience, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's only a small game, but I loved it. The fact that that's on XSplit, I always just thought XSplit games would be that good, and they rarely are. So. Yeah, Delta's loved it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I'd play it all the time if it was on one of my plugged-in consoles, Technically my 360 is plugged in, but it's only a case of changing an HDMI cable over, but you know how it is. You're probably more likely to switch on one of the other ones. But if it was just sitting on my PS4, I'd probably stick it on every other day.
That's the, I mean, and the other thing, I don't know if this is the same with you, but turning on my Xbox 360, signing into my account, getting indie game, I mean, all of that stuff takes like minutes.
Yeah,
now,
it does. Yeah,
because it's just such a sluggish old bastard of a machine. But if you put in the time to get that far, to get to the indies, I mean, even play the demo. I mean, you can play 7 minutes for free, so you can just get a taste of just the quality of it. I mean, it feels like it was made. I mean, it's made by a one-man studio, but the love and the care that's gone into it is just it's not an everyday occurrence on XBig. Believe me.
Yes.
So,
and there's a man who knows.
Yeah, Delta. I loved it. I like Delta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a game that I should play more of. Really, I do want to have another check out of that. I kind of forgotten it existed, but yeah, all right. Well, that was fun. We almost had so many technical problems at the beginning of this that it almost didn't happen. So there you go. It did happen. So thanks very much. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, sorry. There's no point in me saying the podcast audio at the beginning was bad, wasn't it? It got better as it went on because we fixed it.
Yeah.
There you go. Why did I even open my mouth?
It's a question I often ask. Yeah, thanks very much for listening. Next week will be at some point the top 10/20 each games of the year. The classic Chet and John top 10 list. This one's done. You've already listened to this one, so I don't need to tell you what it is. Have a merry fucking Christmas, and we'll chat soon. Laters.
We'll be thanks for listening. We'll be back. Is it Boxing Day the Friday?
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe late Christmas Day evening, maybe, or Boxing Day morning, whatever. That's when the Game of the Year thing will be up, and that's that. So yeah, thanks for listening. See you later.
Yeah, keep it real. Laters.
Bye.